everybody, it's Catherine from Jayne Catherine on Books, and today I've just got a few new releases to talk about. I think I've got 5 or 6 books that have all been kindly sent to me by the publishers and authors via NetGalley, and I've got round to reading them, and here we go. Let's have a look at what's coming out or what's just recently been published. So the first one is called The Kindness Method, Changing Habits for Good. And this is the, it's not the finished cover. I'm not sure entirely if that will be changed because obviously remember it's an ARC, an advanced reader's copy, so it might change. So this is by Sharoo Izadi. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. And Bluebird sent me an email and asked if I would like to try out this health and wellbeing book, which I was excited to do because of those that have been with me a long while will know that apart from having many years as a nurse, I work in the health and wellbeing field, mainly complementary therapies now, and I do stress management for industry. And so I was very interested in this this book, and it's a new format for getting the best out of your life, overcoming any obsessions or drinking or gambling or excessive anxiety, that sort of thing. So yeah, I was really interested to get it. Now unfortunately I didn't like its format. I didn't get on with it. Now Sharoo is a very good at what she does. She's an eminent psychologist. She does a lot of work mainly with alcohol and drug related problems, mainly alcohol I believe, and there's no doubt from the evidence in the book, the clinical evidence, that her method does work. It's called mapping, and how this works is that she believes for people to truly change, you have to have a proper look at yourself, where you want to go, what you want to change, what you want to do, what your flaws are, you know, all sorts of different things like that. Not actually just looking at, oh right, you know, I want to be less anxious or I want to drink less. It's looking at mapping out where you want to go and where you want to be heading. So that was quite refreshing. The problem I had with this was I don't think the book decided what it wanted to be or who it was aimed at. So I found that for the general public, I found that it was a little bit too medical. I think the terms were a little bit too medical, and the other thing with it is that it was mainly based around her experience with alcoholism, and I know you could extend that to really anything that you want to improve in your life and make you feel you know, more well, shall we say, improve your well-being. So I did have a problem with that. I didn't find, I was expecting loads of lovely activities to do, because they did say to me, oh yeah, we'll provide you with paper and pens and blah. Well, obviously because it came on Goodreads, not Goodreads, NetGalley, I was all excited. I got my paper and my pens, and oh, I was going to, you know, really, and I was going to, like, my goal was to go walking more. I know I take the dog every day, but walking more, you know, being a bit more adventurous and walking a bit further. But anyway, it all failed. The maps obviously weren't there because it was an art copy, and I don't think it was easy for the layperson to follow. The other side of that is that yes, as practitioners, you could use it, the idea of the map method, and you could use it in your everyday practice, but you'd have to change everything round, and it was too much like hard work. So I'm ever so sorry. I gave it 2 stars. Didn't suit me. It has got some good ratings, but it just, you know, I've seen a lot of health and wellbeing books and strategy books, etc. It didn't work for me, and it was supposed to be aimed at the general public, everybody that's not got the medical knowledge and I just struggled. So that was that. That was my 2-star read. Then there's a new book coming out by Andrew Taylor, and actually it's out now. It came out on the 5th of April, called The Fire Court. Now this is the second book in the series to The Ashes of London. The Ashes of London came out in 2016, so many of you may have already read The Ashes of London. I hadn't, so the publishers kindly sent me a copy of The Ashes of London as well as an e-copy, so that I could get the feel of what was happening before I then went on to The Fire Court. Now, I have read Andrew Taylor before. He's a really interesting author. He writes mainly historical fiction, and I've enjoyed his works, but I have to say I don't get on with this series at all. The Ashes of London I rated 3-star, and the same for The Fire Court. The Ashes of London is, for those of you who don't know, it's based in London in 1666, when the Great Fire of London started. We have some crimes being committed about that time. We've got 2 main characters, which are the characters that are going to continue in the series, Marwood and Lovett. I have to say, I didn't relate to the characters very well. I just found it an okay plot. It was very interesting at the beginning. The description of Great Fire of London, the sounds, the smells, the panic was brilliant. Now, I was only going to give it a 2.5, but I did uprate it to 3 because it has got a very good ending. It has got a great ending. So the beginning and end, fabulous. Just the stuff in between, nothing special for me. So The Fire Court, I went into this obviously with an open mind, because I did have those issues with Ashes of London. This came out, as I say, on the 5th of April this year, and this is some while after The Fire of London's finished. The same 2 characters, Marwood and Lovett, and we've got the rebuilding of London. It's starting to go ahead full throttle, as it were, and there's been a murder, and Marwood and Lovett are investigating this, and then guess what? Another 2 murders happen, and it seems as if there may be somebody that's trying to put the rebuilding of London out of sync, stop it happening. So they investigate that. I have to say I found it very much of the same. I found it quite mundane in places and dragged out. So strange, isn't it, how I've really enjoyed other series by this author. I've not really particularly found these 2 anything special. So we'll get on to 2 4-star reads that I've done, that have recently come out. On the 1st of June from Aria Press, we've got a book called With You or Without You. Are you ever sure that you made the right decision? This is by Shari Low. It's Aria Press. Came out on the 1st of June. So, are you ever sure you made the right decision? Well, when you get to my age, no. You make loads of decisions, rightly or wrongly. And actually, the idea of this book is, if we come to a crossroad in our life and we make choice A or make choice B, say for a job decision, for example, we get offered 2 jobs. We've got job A, we've got job B. We take job A, and along we go with our life, and our life continues. Do you ever stop and think, well, actually, where would my life have gone if I'd have taken job B instead? And I think every single one of us does that about something, about some decisions. So this is a very interesting idea. I think it's quite refreshing. It's something a little bit different. So it's split into 2, and we've got the 6 main characters. We've got 3 lots of couples that have been friends since university, and one of them, we're at New Year's Eve. It starts at a party, New Year's Eve, and one of them has decided that her marriage is over, and she's going to leave her husband. And so part 1 is how her life pans out and what happens to the 6, all 6 of them, how they're all affected by this one decision that she makes. And then we come to the second half of the book, and again we're back to New Year's Eve, and this time she decides that she's going to stay, she'll give it another go. And again it shows the life and the decision excuse me, of how these 6 are affected by her going down the other path, as it were, really, which I think is a very interesting idea. Now, I really enjoyed this book. The writing style was really easy to follow. I loved the characterizations. I enjoyed all of the characters. They weren't all, how can we say, some of them were very flawed, and it sort of does bring alcoholism into this. It does bring infidelity, those sorts of subjects, but really all 6 of them were great characters and made the book really for me. Now, I loved choice A. I really enjoyed what happened to them all when she took the choice for the marriage to be over, and I loved it. I was really invested in it. I couldn't put it down. Now, when we go on to part B, I think because I loved part A so much, and really I enjoyed the outcome and everything. A little bit sad at times, quite emotional, does get you here a little bit. But because I was so invested in how good part A was, I think that I was a bit biased, really. So I didn't quite enjoy the other options as much. I didn't like what happened to everybody as much in part B. And that's, I think, why I gave it 4 stars. It's excellent. I really enjoyed it. It's a really heartwarming look at friendships of young adults, really, and how they look out for one another when times are hard. So I think that's well worth a read. It's out now, as I say, the 1st of June. So go and have a look at that. And the last one in ones that I've read is Snap. Now, I was sent an e-copy of this. This comes out, let's have a look, 17th of May. So it's not out yet. Is it out yet? I can't think what date it is today. What date is it today, David?
14th of June.
Oh, yes! Duh. Came out on the 17th of May. I'm thinking it's coming out on the 17th of June and we haven't got there yet. Right, okay. It's coming. It's already out. Obviously it's already out. I've been and bought the book. You silly girl. So I was sent an e-copy of this, but I didn't get round to it. And I really enjoyed the blurb about this, the premise of this. So I decided to go and buy it. And yeah, nice hardback, only available in hardback at the moment. And it says the best crime novel I've read in a very long time, Val McDermid. So I was determined that I was going to read this. And because I lost my e-copy, I thought, yeah, I'll go and get it and still review it. Now, this is a crime thriller. And the idea behind this is a mother and her 3 children. It's based in the UK. And the car breaks down. She pulls into the hard shoulder because I believe she's on a dual carriageway or a motorway. And says to the children, right, it's not safe for me to be taking you along the hard shoulder with all this busy traffic. You sit tight here. Mummy's only going to go up to the emergency phone to get us some help. And the children are, I think, the eldest boy, he's 11. Then we've got 2 young girls. I think one's probably about 7. I can't quite remember now. And then we've got the baby, she's about 2. And the last words that she says to, trying to think of his name, Jack. Jack. Right, I won't be long. You're the eldest, you're in charge. Now, yeah, that rings bells. I think we've all done that as parents. Right, you're the eldest now, you're in charge. Look after your brother or look after your sister. We're just in the next room or whatever. You look after them. You know, it's quite standard, really. You could argue, was she right to leave them in the car, but she was doing what she thought was best. Anyway, the top and bottom of this, without me rambling anymore, is that she doesn't come back. And after a long while, the children get really frightened, so Jack decides that the three of them are going to walk along the side of the dual carriageway to go and find her. And obviously she's not there, and a motorist informs the police, and then we find out that she's missing. They have got a father who just goes completely to pieces, and so much so that I think he has a bit of a nervous breakdown and leaves them, just walks away and leaves them. And Jack, bless him, he doesn't want the three of them to be split up and put into care in different places. So they all live at home, and he sets up a smoke screen, really, so the neighbours still think his dad's there. And he's looking after them all, bless him. And unfortunately he turns, gets in with a bad crowd, shall we say. He gets in with some wrong uns, and he has to steal, really, to earn money to look after the three of them, bless. So that's the main theory behind this. There's two split time narratives here. We then fast forward 3 years, and we're in the house of I think she's about in her 20s, a girl called Catherine, and there's something a bit strange going on. She can hear some funny noises. Her husband's working away, and she thinks somebody's broken into the house. And yes, somebody's been in the house and weird things start happening. That's all I'll say there, because I don't want to spoil that. So we've got these two stories that are running parallel throughout this book. We've got Catherine and strange things happening, and we've got Jack and his two sisters that are trying to fend for themselves because they're living on their own. And we then are looking into, I think eventually, I don't know if the mother's, I think the mother, that we may get a conclusion as to what's happened to the mother, and we're solving the crime, basically, and the two paths eventually merge together. I really enjoyed this, and yeah, well worth a read. The reason why I gave it 4 stars and not 5 stars is I found the ending, I didn't find it dynamic enough. I think the book was, I couldn't put it down. I wanted to know what happened. So it's a fantastic book. And then I felt that the ending, it was sort of satisfactory, but it wasn't dynamic enough. There was a bit of a twist there, and there were some clues that I did guess what the twist was. But then the ending sort of fizzled out for me, and I think it could have been so much better, and this would have then made it a 5-star book. So well worth a book. Great crime thriller, great premise. So just finally, one that I'm in the middle of reading, and again this is an e-reader copy from NetGalley, and this is called The Way of All the Flesh. That sounds a bit gory. The Way of All the Flesh. This is by Ambrose Parry. This doesn't come out until the 30th of August. And this is by two authors, Chris Brookmeyer and Marissa Heitzman. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I think they are man and wife, and I actually believe that Marissa is an anaesthetist. So yeah, great mixture there. Now, the premise of this, it's historical crime fiction, and we are at the stage where anaesthetics are on the verge of really being properly discovered and being used to give, you know, proper anaesthesia, and so that patients are, you know, completely unconscious and don't feel anything. The book starts where I've started it. It can be a bit gritty. You know, we're in the days of give them a bottle of rum and saw the leg off. So if you're a bit squeamish, you know, you might it might not be quite for you. But I'm not too far into this. There's a young man who's qualified as a doctor, but he gets an apprenticeship with the eminent researcher, the eminent obstetrician, who is looking into better ways of giving pain relief and also anaesthetising mothers that are in labour. And so it's really exciting. I mean, it's more exciting for me as well because having a nursing background, and you know, there's some really interesting stuff in here. I'm hoping we're going to get where they get proper anaesthetic gases, because it's a bit gruesome at the minute, and I certainly want childbirth, if I remember rightly. Yes, I do. It's bad enough when you can be given everything that there is available now. Well, 20 odd years ago. Never mind, you know, some of the things that they're doing here. But there's crimes going on as well. So, and somebody that's quite close to this trainee doctor, trainee research assistant, shall we say, has been murdered. And so there's obviously something strange going on in the background of this book. So that's about as far as I've got. I'm loving it. I'm really loving it so far. The writing style's easy to follow. It's gripping. Yes, like I've said, a little bit gruesome in places. And I think this is well on its way to be a high star rating if it continues like this. So I shall let you know when I finish that and give my full review. But that's called The Way of the Flesh by Ambrose Parry. So there we go, guys. There's the latest releases that I requested and were kindly sent from NetGalley. All my reviews are on my Goodreads page. And see you again next time. Bye for now.